All right, I'm gonna show you how to learn how to bound. And I'm gonna show you this in about 3 steps. But one of the first things to understand about bounding is what the purpose is. The purpose of bounding is to teach your body how to produce force and cover ground going forwards, without reaching, of course. And the best way to implement that in your training is to have a measured distance that you can use to count your steps and help control or to help identify if the quality is good. So if you're covering, for example, say 15 yards, you should be able to cover that depending on your age and your level and things of that nature. You want to cover that. I don't want to give you any set number, but you should cover that distance in the least amount of steps as you can without reaching. So let's start with the first step of how to bound. The first step of how to bound is to start with just one jump at a time. Don't worry about trying to cover as much ground as possible just yet. Just work on doing one jump at a time. So I'm going to jump off my left leg. I'm going to land on my right like this. Okay, just a small jump. Now I'm going to jump off my right leg and land on my left. Reset, jumping off my left, landing on my right. Okay, as simple as that. You can start with just one jump at a time. Starting over, small jumps. Of course, coordinate your arms the same way you run. Okay, practice that a few times. Once that's pretty easy for you, now let's add a very important element to sprinting, which is going to be driving your knees up, or as you're accelerating, is driving your knees forwards. So same thing, you don't need to have a lot of effort right now when you're trying to learn. So you're going to combine those small jumps with a little bit of a knee lift. So I'm going to jump off my left leg. I'm going to land on my right still, but as I go to take that step, I'm driving my knee up a little bit. I'm not just reaching out. So it should look something like this. Okay. So doing that again. Jumping off my left leg, landing on my right leg, and I'm driving this knee up or driving this knee forwards if I was actually doing the bounding. Small jumps, arms are coordinated. Okay, once you've done that a few times, now we can move on to step 3. And step 3 is just combining those two things and then trying to do 2 jumps at a time. So it'll look like this. Okay, let's start over. Small jumps, trying to incorporate the knee lift still. Okay. Now you can try to put that together. So I'm going to start at the 15, go into the 30, about 15 yards, and I'm just going to count my steps, lightly bounding. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps. And you want to count the very first push off. Now, if you feel like you can beat that number or whatever number that you complete your distance in, then walk back and try to beat the number. You may only beat it by a half a step. Okay, it may not be anything dramatic. I did that in 8, and while I wasn't trying hard, if I was to try maximum effort, it's not going to be 3 steps. So like, just understand that those numbers aren't going to just infinitely reduce down. The goal is to try to have good effort, and you're trying to cover the distance in the least amount of steps possible. What you don't want to do, you don't want to just run. Sprinting is bounding, but bounding is a more exaggerated version of sprinting where you're only focusing on the power side. So your bounding shouldn't look like this. It shouldn't look like you're running, okay? Make sure you're actually jumping, you're actually driving your knees up. You don't want to reach, okay? You don't want to reach to try to cover distance. Make sure you're driving your knees up and you're covering distance because you're jumping and you're pushing off the ground, not because you're reaching. And make sure your bounding doesn't turn into just running, okay? So those are 3 steps on how you can learn how to bound.